Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sitting with Shireen. We are so excited that you decided to spend the evening with me and my guest this evening. And tonight, we have in the chair, the ever-growing chair here at Sitting with Shireen, Sister Philli Roberts. And if you would notice, a lot of the titles that we've been using recently is a sister, or our elder or something like that. But that's just the way it is here at Sitting with Shireen, and that the Lord has allowed my environment to pour into me, which is why we're here sitting and we're about to pour into you. Welcome, Sister Philli Roberts, to the set of Sitting with Shireen.
Thank you for having me here.
It's so good to have you here. And
Yes.
I like to give a little bit of background as to the relationship behind many of the ladies or the guests that I have sitting along with me. And this lady is what I deem a quiet storm. Okay, looking at her from the outside in, she seems very unassuming, but truth be told, from what I've experienced from you, Sister Philippa, is that it's like a treasure chest of experience, a treasure chest of treasures that you have to offer to the world. And that's why I believe the Lord has her sitting with us this evening. Sister Philippa, I want to share, if you don't mind, when I first came to you asking you about sitting
Right.
on the chair, I started to think to myself, Sister Philippa, the story the world needs, somebody needs to hear Sister Philippa's story. But Sister Philippa is so quiet. That's what I said to myself. But I went ahead, and being led of the Lord, I stepped up to Sister Philippa on a Sunday after church. And do you remember what you said to me when I approached you about sitting with Shireen? What did you say?
Sister Shireen is so correct. When she came to me, of course, the first thing I said to you, I just had a feeling
Yes.
you was going to come to me and ask me to share my story because I felt it.
Yeah.
And that was the words I said to you.
Yes, that was. And right away, I said to myself, only God. It had to be a connection of the Spirit of the Lord between us for her to be willing and able and open. And that's what God does for his people. He always, and I say this all the time, he always preempts his people, okay? He advised Sister Philippa that I was going to come to her, okay? And he advised me to make the move. There's always going to be the connection when it comes to the things of God and the people of God. But we're going to go right in. And tonight's topic is the evidence of God's faithfulness. Every time Sister Philippa gets up to testify, and she has no problem with testifying and telling her story, okay? When she gets up to testify, you can always hear her use the words, God is faithful. God is faithful. Sister Philippa, what do you mean when you stand and you proclaim that God is faithful?
When I say God is faithful, it's because of what I went through and where he brought me to, where he brought me from, because my story doesn't just start here. It goes back years ago. And I always tell people, because of his grace, because of his mercy, I am here today. And I am so thankful to share with you what I went through. And because of his faithfulness.
You use the word grace, and she's sitting here, and all that's exuding from her is grace, okay? It's just so beautifully sitting here. And it just goes to show you how someone who has overcome through the grace of God has the ability to sit and look graceful and feel graceful, because it exudes from the inside. And it exudes on the outside. It comes from the inside and exudes on the outside. Sister Philippa, you talked about the fact that it didn't just start here. And so we're going to go way back. We're going to go back to the beginning of your story. But what I want you to do now is to tell us, what was Sister Philippa like, say, early 2000s? Go way back to when things were, everything seemed to have been going good.
Going good.
Yeah.
Well, most people know me as a shy person. I spent most of my time with family. To say go out, no, that was not me. I tried to spend most of my time in the Word with God.
Yeah.
And I have a son, my
Yeah.
husband. You know, I spent time with them.
Yeah.
We went out a lot. I guess we did. We shared moments together. I should say it was always let's go for dinner. That was our bonding time. Supportive, I should say. Recreation. It was just the three of us mainly. I came from a large family, so spending time with them also. We did that.
Yeah. So everything was close knit.
Yes.
You grew up in a large family, and from what I know, very close knit.
Very.
And here you are now as the mother and wife, once again creating that same type of environment for your family. Very close knit. So everything seemed to have been going pretty good in those years.
Yes.
Life was good. Life was good, right?
Exactly. Yes, indeed.
That's good. That's good. So you talked about your family life. What about your professional life, say around that time when things were going good?
Well, I've been in banking now for 20 plus years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yes, 20 plus years. I love what I do.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone know that customers, I love dealing with customers. I love customer service. I always tell people I treat people how I want to be treated. So God placed me in that field for a purpose because I actually went to COB at that time to be a teacher.
Oh, really? Now, this is new.
Yes.
Okay.
So I would have switched careers and I end up into banking. So, like I said, I was there now 20 plus years and I enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And everything, like I said, was going well.
Going well,
yes. I have to say that I have experienced her customer service, okay? And when I say top notch, I think that you would have even had been rewarded for your customer service once or twice. Did I remember seeing you in the newspaper?
Yes, you are correct.
A few years, like a couple of good years ago.
You are correct.
But once again, because God was in it now, I can see that teacher though, Sister Philippa. Because remember, one time ago, you helped the family training hour out with the teaching on Wednesday night. So that's still on the inside of you. Always a teacher. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Yes.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you, around that time, how would you say your spiritual life was? We talked about your family life. We talked about your professional life. And this is around the time and everything. Like I said, we're setting the premise now, the basis that, life was good. Everything was good. How was your spiritual life around that time?
Around that time, I could say my spiritual life, that was the cornerstone of my existence, of course. And everything was God.
Yeah.
Persons who know me, they always said, one thing with you, you're always talking about God. So that didn't change.
Yeah.
God was always the center. He was the stronghold in my life because I knew because of God, I had to have God in my life because I grew up in a Christian home.
Okay, yeah.
And that's all I knew. So because of that, I relied a lot on God's word. I relied a lot on God. I relied a lot on God's faithfulness.
Yes. Even when things are good, especially when things are good in our life, we find ourselves. Well, sometimes there are some persons who, when things are good, they tend to put God on the back burner. But it wasn't the same for you. You kept God in focus when things were good. And Sister Philippa, we will see why that is so important. Because when life changes and things change, that one thing is what's going to keep us in the midst. Okay, and we're going to get to that right now. Okay, so the reason why we're here, Sister Philippa, once again, earlier in the month, we celebrated, or the world observed, World Cancer Month. And we were talking about when things were good. Okay? Before cancer became personal to you, how did you view cancer. Was that even a thing on your mind?
Not at all, because I never thought it would have affected me.
Yeah.
I saw cancer, honestly, I did, as a death sentence,
Yeah.
because a lot of persons you heard around me was dying from cancer.
Okay.
And I knew cancer was serious
Yeah.
because my uncle actually passed.
Okay.
He had cancer.
Okay.
So in my mind, I'm like, cancer can't affect me. Even though he died from cancer, because here it is, I'm eating what I'm supposed to eat.
Yes.
Yes, I like sweets, I like sugar. But I never thought it would affect me. I never thought it would have came home to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Not so close. And I can
Right.
imagine. Especially when we do what is right, and especially, being preventative, you know what I mean, taking the precautions, taking the test, doing this,
Yes.
every year, and then all of a sudden it just appears. So, until sickness calls our name, it doesn't appear as though we're within its reach.
Right.
That's how it looks sometimes. But now that you were diagnosed, and when were you diagnosed? If you
In
can
May
tell us.
of 2022,
Okay.
I got the news that cancer had hit my body.
You want to take us through that story?
Yes. So on my way to work one day, I felt a lump in my breast. While talking to my sister, so she said, maybe it's just a cyst, nothing to be worried about or concerned about. So I decided to go to the doctor. So he said, when last you had a mammogram? So I gave him the date. I told him when I had the mammogram. So he said, you know what, we're going to send you to have a mammogram. So mammogram, the results came back, and that's when they found out that I had breast cancer. So he said, I'm going to have to refer you. So I was referred to a surgeon, of course.
Okay.
Because of the results.
All right.
I then had to do a biopsy. So, of course, when the results came back, again, cancer. I could say now, when I look back, I cried inside.
Okay.
When I say cried inside, I wanted to cry out loud, but I couldn't cry out loud.
Okay.
Because I didn't know how to feel at that time.
Wow.
My sisters, they came with me that particular day when I got the results, and they was like, we're going to be here for you.
Yeah.
But you saying that to me, but deep down, I'm like, y'all don't know what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is hard right now. My husband was there, and he kept saying, everything is going to be all right. Again, in my mind, you guys don't understand. Yeah. So you could imagine crying inside, but you couldn't let those tears out. I went back to work. The tears flowed.
Okay.
They didn't see that side, but there was one person who saw that side. Right away, she closed the door, and she called someone, and she said, I need you to pray.
Wow.
That's the first thing she said to the person.
I love it.
I just need you to pray.
I love it.
So the tears just kept flowing and flowing. After the prayers, I felt a little ease because I knew God was in the mix.
Come on, sis.
Because it started to line up. And my sisters then became concerned. They called. It was a gloomy day.
I can imagine.
That day.
You mean outside?
Outside.
Okay.
It was gloomy, so I'm like, wow. This is happening on a gloomy day.
Wow.
So you could imagine.
Yeah.
So instead of me going home, of course, I went back to work. I just needed to be at work. Going home was not on my mind.
Okay.
So instead of me liaising with the surgeon, I never got his number.
Oh, wow. You mean after the encounter, like after him giving you the news? Oh, wow.
I never got his number. My sister, I told her, I said, take care of everything.
Wow. Okay.
She stepped up.
Thank God for sisters.
Thank God for sisters. So everything that took place, the blood work, everything that I had to do, she got all of the messages. She relayed them to me and she told me, this is what you need to do. What you're going through is aggressive. We cannot wait. We have to move right away. So everything moved fast. And I was supposed to have a surgery, but it didn't take place as we anticipated. They were trying to get me to go to the US.
Okay.
But at that time, I was like, I don't want to go to the US because I said the same God we serve here.
Come on.
It's the same God
Tell them,
in the US. I'm not knocking the US. But I felt that in my spirit that I needed to stay here.
Okay. Tell
to
them.
do my treatment, to do whatever I needed to deal with. So everything was done here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, that is so good. And you said it. The same God that's in the US is the same God who is here. It's the same God who was in the room when you heard the news.
Right.
It's the same God who was in the room when you got to work and ensured that someone was there to lay their hands on you and pray. Sister Philippa, listen, you don't know what this is doing to me right now. I am just so amazed all the time at how God is so intricately detailed concerning his people. He is always there. He always provides what we need exactly when we need it. Yes, you say that all the time too. He's on time God. That's one of your hits. One of the things that you say all the time. And he is so faithful. I can't thank him enough. But the same God who is, and I'm going to say this, like the popular song says, the same God on the mountain is the God who does not change in the valley. He is the same God and does not change. Oh my gosh. So now cancer meant something different to you.
It did.
Okay? Some cancer all of a sudden meant something different to you. And you mentioned the support of your sisters. My last interviewee mentioned the importance of having that level of support. What does that level of support mean to you, Sister Philippa? Having that support system behind you.
Yes. Emotionally, you need that support.
Yeah.
You need to lean on someone.
Yeah.
And they were there for me to lean on.
Yeah.
So having that support meant so much to me. And when I say in having a praying village.
Yeah, come on. I like that. Having a praying village. I love that.
I had that. And when I tell you I had a praying village.
Yes.
Oh, I had a praying village.
I know that.
When persons used to call or send a message, what do you need? I said, prayers.
That's it.
I said all I needed was prayers. Nothing else, just prayers. Yes, I may have needed the fruits or monetary, because the bills, they are there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They weren't going anywhere, but I said prayers.
Yes.
I need those prayers.
Yes. And not only the prayers, the Bible says the effectual
prayer,
fervent prayer of the righteous. They're the kind you need in times like this.
Yes.
And I'm so happy for you to mention today that you had a praying village. That is major.
Yes.
Very important.
I surely did.
I thank God for that too.
Yes.
Because many of us can't say, well, I wouldn't say many of us. There are some persons who find themselves in times like that, Sister Philippa, who don't know how to pray.
Right.
Okay? When we face hardships, truthfully, sometimes we can't pray ourselves. So we need the persons around us to be able to instantly connect with heaven's central telephone line, okay?
Yes.
The one that's never busy. We need them to instantly connect with heaven, knowing that my sister is in need, okay? My sister is in need of not things, but answers. We need you to answer on my sister's behalf, Lord. So I'm grateful to God. And once again, I'm just going to tell you, make sure you get yourself a praying village, okay? 2025 and beyond, get yourself a praying village. Sister Philippa, my next question to you I don't know if it's a question, but it's something that I'd like you to expand on.
Sure.
Now, cancer isn't your first life-changing event. Okay? Take us back to the time when death was staring at your door.
Wow. A few years ago, I was admitted to the hospital, pulmonary embolism. It came on rather quickly. This is how it started, actually. I was on vacation from work, and I started to walk one-sided.
Oh, wow.
Didn't know what was going on. I was in a lot of pain. Went to the doctor. They gave me painkillers.
Wow.
They sent me back home.
Wow.
Gave me a referral to see a doctor the next day. Went to the doctor. He said, "Why are you here?" I said, "They referred me." He said, no. He personally walked me to A&E.
Oh my goodness.
While there, they decided to do a scan. And that's when they found out that I had a pulmonary embolism.
Wow. Now, for persons who don't know what a pulmonary embolism is, Sister Philippa, can you share a little bit what that means?
Sure. That is actually a blood clot.
Come on.
And it was in my left lungs.
You see where that is?
My left lungs collapsed.
Oh my God.
I was in ICU for a week. I was told one more day I would have been a dead woman.
My God.
But it was only God who kept me, and it's only God who's keeping me.
God's faithfulness.
Yes.
Okay? Once again, we have the evidence of God's faithfulness.
Yes.
When we have no idea what's going on with our bodies, when those who were trained to identify what's going on in our bodies don't, or for some reason can't, God remains faithful.
Yes.
And guess what, Sister Philippa? He keeps us to be able to show someone else his faithfulness.
Definitely.
Okay, he keeps us and then allows you to share.
To share. Exactly. Because years later, I was involved with the Labor Day accident.
Come on, this is another. What? Testify, sis. Testify.
So I always tell people who God kept.
Yeah.
Who God keeps, it's well kept. I was one of those persons who was involved with the Labor Day accident.
Yes, I remember.
I have scars on my face to
Battle
prove it.
scars. Once again, we are sitting with Sister Philippa Forbes, and we're sitting here just reminiscing on the faithfulness of God, you know, just talking of the faithfulness of God. Sister Philippa, we began to talk about some of the encounters that you had before cancer. Would you say that those encounters prepared you in any way for what was going to come next? The fact that cancer was going to be next? And if so, how so?
Not at all.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting cancer.
Wow.
No one expects cancer to hit.
You're right.
So I didn't. Prior to that, I had faith in God, but my faith grew. When I say it grew so much, like nothing faced me anymore. Like whatever news you gave me, I accepted it, and I knew the trust that I had in God.
Yeah.
And persons, they used to say, "Oh, you lost so much weight," but they didn't know what I was going through, or what I went through. A lot of persons didn't know because I didn't open up.
Yes.
Like you said earlier, I am that. So that allowed me the opportunity. I used to say, "Come, let me tell you about the goodness of God, the faithfulness of God, the God I serve."
Yeah.
So I realized that was my time to testify of what I went through and what I had to deal with. It wasn't easy.
I can imagine. I can't.
It was not easy because you can imagine every time someone approached you, "Why are you losing so much weight? Why you lost so much weight?" At first, I never used to say anything, but that's when one of my coworkers said to me, "You have so much pride."
Oh, wow. They went there.
They went there. I knew what it meant. So I said, "Why did you say that?" So she started to explain to me the reason why she said it, not knowing that another person also told me that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, I said, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me here? Because I'm a type of person, I am a private person.
Yeah.
For many who knows me, I am a private person. And my husband always used to say, you want to let people know what you're going through, dealing with. I came to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't mind anymore.
Yeah.
I said, because God kept me for
Yes.
a purpose.
Yes.
He kept me. And it's the reason why he kept me.
Yes.
And I have to share my testimony
Yes.
with someone who's going through what I'm going through. My faith became at that level where I kept saying to God, God, I trust you. I said, because your promises are yes and amen. And I kept repeating to him his word. I started giving it back to him.
Yes, that's it.
The mustard seed. Restoring health.
Come on.
I started giving it back to him. So that allowed me to get even more closer to God, because while at home I was able to commune with God more, spend more time with God. And music.
Okay.
I listen to music every day so much until when my husband and son came home, if the television was on, the first thing they turned to was music.
One time.
Music. Because they knew music is what I needed to hear.
Yeah, that environment, that atmosphere.
That atmosphere. It helped me. And when I tell people having that faith in God, listen, you need to have faith in God. You need that faith. Don't never, ever give up.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm not saying my journey was easy. It was not.
I could imagine.
But I relied on God for everything. And I said, God, I trust you. I kept saying to him, God, I trust you. Every day, every minute, I just kept saying those words. God, I trust you. I said, you lead the way, God.
Yes.
That I may follow.
Yeah.
And I knew God was in the midst of what I was dealing with, what I was going through, because everything lined up. And when I say it lined up, because when I went to the surgeon, he asked me, okay, which oncologist you would like to go to. So I had asked him for the names of all of the oncologists that's in the Bahamas network. He gave me a few names. I chose a female oncologist. Never heard of her.
Oh, wow.
Didn't know the location where she was, but I was directed there.
Wow.
And when I say it was God, it was God. The nurse, a believer.
Come on.
When I say it was only God. When I used to go to have treatments, she could see that I needed that word. And she used to quote scriptures to me. She used to say, God didn't bring you this far.
Come on.
And I always tell people it was so timing for everything. I remembered one day I felt so overwhelmed. I was sitting downstairs after treatment and the tears just flowed. I started to feel, okay, God, this is becoming a lot.
Yeah.
My phone rang. A family member called. He said, I'm just calling you to encourage you.
Wow.
I said, God, I thank you.
Yes.
I said, God, I just want to say thank you. Because what I was going through and what I was dealing with at that time, I felt like everything was just falling apart. And everyone around started saying, you know, cancer is no longer a death sentence. And like I said, thank God for my praying village.
Yeah.
They prayed. I had persons in the US praying for me. I had persons, when I tell you, listen, and that's why I always used to say to people, I just need prayers.
Yeah.
Just pray.
Yeah.
Just pray. And I have a friend, she always used to say, whenever I ask you, are you okay? You always say, all is well. Not realizing, yes, all is well.
Yeah.
Because of the God I serve, the God we serve.
Yeah.
And I continue to put my faith in him. And because of my faith in God, I tell people I am an overcomer.
Yes.
You know, he said in Revelations 2, he encouraged us to remain steadfast in trials.
Yes, he does.
So when I read that scripture, I am reminded of who he is and what he has done for me. Yes.
You used the word, you said it. I didn't have to even go and say it. You said it, that I am an overcomer. Okay. Truthfully, when I sit, and it's such a blessing to watch you worship in your own way. And I've seen where that has even changed over the years. And it's because more and more you have experienced God's faithfulness.
Right.
Some of us have not. We can't say that your story is our story. But by watching you, we know that God is faithful, which is why I'm so happy that you always take the opportunity when you're provided or when it's offered to testify of the faithfulness of God. Now, another question I had for you is, as I mentioned, you said it, when I see you, overcomer is what I see. Based on your experiences, now you've used the word faith. Give us the formula for overcoming in addition to faith. What's the formula for overcoming?
Trusting in God.
Yeah.
Knowing the God you serve. Knowing that he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. That he is Alpha and Omega.
Come on.
The beginning and the end. All he wants from us is to reach out to him. To trust him. So when I say overcomer, it's because of him. I am an overcomer. He said, I am Alpha and Omega.
That's the word.
The beginning and the end.
Somewhere in the book of Revelation is the instructions to that we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Exactly.
The more you testify, sis, and I believe this, the more you share and you open yourself up to sharing God's faithfulness to others, the more you are able to overcome.
Right.
And then based on your story, sitting here listening, he always provides someone to come and pour into you after you would have shared with someone else.
Yes.
Your village or your prayer village didn't consist of your family alone. You mentioned that God was even in the selection of your oncologist.
Yes.
And that the persons around you automatically became a part of your prayer village. The nurse was a believer. Can you see what God does? What he is capable of doing? And just recently we were singing the song in church that God is able to do.
Wow.
What he said he could do. Not only that, he does it exceeding abundantly above all we can ask, think, and imagine. But it's according to the power that works in us. And you know what that means? We have to work the faith on the inside of us. We have to be able to work faith. Okay, make faith work for us so that we can become overcomers, whom God says that we are.
Yes.
Through him. Okay, we can do all things through Christ who gives us the strength.
Yes.
Okay, we too have the victory because why? We serve the victor. Okay, and we inherit victory as children of God. Okay, it's our inheritance to be overcomers, to be victors, to be conquerors. Okay, and the Bible tells us to endure hardness.